Kevin Gordon here, coming to you from Autosavant.com with our video review of the 2012 Chrysler 300C. The 300C could really be best described as a large American sedan. It's what everybody used to drive 30 years ago, and it's a good thing that Chrysler still makes one. You know, there's just something to be said about getting on a highway, being in something this large with a big, powerful V8. I'm talking about something that makes more torque than it makes in horsepower, and just cruising. And that's really what the 300 is very good at. This thing on the highway is whisper quiet. Its ride, even though it has 20-inch wheels, is really quite supple. It's got big couchy seats in it. The back seats are large. The trunk isn't the largest of things because of that independent rear suspension and the base. But as far as a touring car goes, this is about what you'd expect. This 300C also has Chrysler's all-wheel drive system, which is really mostly rear-wheel drive bias, but the front wheels do drive for inclement weather conditions and when you need them. I have to say, from a chassis perspective, the all-wheel drive system does not make this a push heavy or something that just wants to plow through a corner. Really, the back end of it is very, very active in any kind of enthusiastic driving. The updated for 2012 Chrysler 300C all-wheel drive is comfortable. You know, there are some issues with the seats in my perspective. A big couchy seat is fine, but this one, I kind of feel like I can feel where the springs in the base cushion are. So it does get a little taxing if you're going to sit in the seat for a long period of time. Will everybody notice it? No, but it is one of those things that I'm always particularly keen on, is the comfort of the seats, and these could use a little bit of work. Visibility out is much better than the old version of the 300. The belt line on this isn't quite as high as it used to be, or how high this sill is. It's still high. I mean, you definitely sit inside of the door panel. I have the seat adjusted all the way down to the lowest it will go, where I typically drive them. And notice I don't actually have a ton of headroom in here. There's about an inch and a half. I'm 6 foot tall, so you know, this sort of cut roof line, the sort of chop look that they go for in the 300 does have a bit of penalty, but the reality is you would have to be enormously tall before it became a problem. The interior of the 300 is very handsome. They have done a good job of greatly updating the quality of the materials in here and the fit and finish. The wood on the steering wheel feels good. It's a big, thick rimmed steering wheel. These pieces are actually metal. You can tell when it's hot and cold outside how the panel gaps and all those types of things are much improved. There are some things that you start to notice as you spend time with the car that are a little less than refined, and that's like you get two big jeweled pretty speedometer dials up front, but in between them, in their new information display, you know, the way that they hide that in the dashboard, you can just see it's like a cutout and a black piece of plastic, and it's shoved behind there. It doesn't look uniform with the rest of the gauge pack up there. The 2012 300 with the HEMI is still a 5-speed, is still outfitted with a 5-speed automatic transmission, which, you know, today's world seems a little antiquated, and it'd be easy to give it a hard time for that, except for the fact that it's outfitted with such a torquey engine. And in all honesty, you don't need any more than the 5 ratios that it has. It pulls hard in any of its gears quite easily. You know, even with all-wheel drive, it'll happily try to spin one of its rear tires as you pull away. Eventually you have to figure they'll fit their new 8-speed transmission to it, and in all honesty, probably what that will do is, and there's the brake detection system as I go across a one-way bridge, which we talked a little bit about in the technology review of the 300, so if you haven't seen that video, take a look at that one to go through all the in-car technology, as well as a separate review of the stereo in this, considering it's a $1,900 option. But again, the 5-speed automatic in this is perfectly fine. If you want to leave it in pure automatic mode, it does just what it's supposed to. I think, you know, it has a manual shift option, so you can slap it back and forth to go through gears. It doesn't rev match downshifts. And really the only issue I'd have with it is the fact that there's no way, now that we're in this, to get it back out without sliding it into neutral and then putting it back in drive, which does feel a little unnatural. I stopped for a second to show one of the other things that's a little odd about the 300, and that's the fact that, you know, it's a big car. It has big doors. Well, if you weren't all that young and spry, how in the world do you reach over to actually grab that door? I mean, it is like far away when it's fully open. It's nice because it makes for such a big entry point into exit out of the car, but it does take quite a reach to get over there and grab it. From a design perspective, both inside and outside, the 300's, like I said, it's a handsome thing. This one is done in luxury brown, they call it. It's a pretty dark brown that's got a really nice metallic flake to it. Inside you get 3-tone, brown on the dash, light wood, and then tan seats. You get all the fake, but still they're trying French sort of stitching accents here and on the doors. This stuff is all really pretty vinyl-like, but you know, they're doing some work to make it seem better. When you hustle something that's as big as this, you do notice that it's a big car, let's face it. But the underlying platform that's in this is still the old E-Class Mercedes, and it's actually held up really well. It's, you know, been solid. It doesn't feel wiggly in any way. This car with the safety tech package gets you radar guided cruise control, which accompanies well with the car. When you get out on the highway and put this thing on cruise control, it does lead to a pretty relaxing experience. You just know that as you approach a car in front of you, it's going to match their speed, and you sort of just follow along and sit in traffic. In all honesty, if more people and more cars had that, I think driving on major highways would be a much more relaxing and enjoyable experience. So this car on the outside is also handsome. You know, the new grille is a little less bold than it used to be, but it still definitely stands out. The LED running lights on this car, I actually like the fact that they make C shapes on both sides. It's nicer than just sort of the flat line that sticks across a lot of them. The rear's bright, it's high, but actually visibility out of the back is better than even in some of the other competitive larger sedans. So for $47,000, you get a lot of car. You know, if you want to measure how much you spend in dollar versus amount of metal and leather you do get a lot in the 300. It's a big, comfortable, capable cruiser when you get down to it for $47, and you get comfortable, you know, big couchy seats. You get a big loud stereo. If you want to make miles just disappear on a highway, it's a pretty good choice. Other features in the 300C, you get power adjustable pedals, 18-way power adjustable seats. The seats both heat and cool, and the coolers really do blow some cold air. You get heated and cooled cup holders, so you can keep your coffee warm in the morning and your beer or soda cold at night. You get completely keyless access, remote start, rain sensing windshield wipers. There really isn't anything when you take a look at the car from a large luxury sedan perspective that's really missing. They really have checked all the appropriate boxes. So the 2012 Chrysler 300C all-wheel drive winds up being a big step up from its predecessor car. a comfortable place to spend time, and something that's still enjoyable to drive. I'm Kevin Gordon from AutoSavant.com. I look forward to talking to you guys soon.